Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Here is your reading for the week ahead. Lots of overlaps with the other Earth sign. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Here is your tarot reading for the week ahead. Lots of overlap with the other Earth star signs. It's quite a mouthful. Taurus and Virgo. It's an interesting thing, the change of a year. Being Earth signs, typically there can be some resistance to change, and perhaps the change from one year to the next can represent sometimes the biggest of changes. So it's unsurprising for many of the Earth star signs this week that there have been these feelings of anxiety or unsettledness. This is represented quite well with the Seven of Swords that opens your reading, the Lord of Unstable Effort, or sometimes known as the Lord of Futility. And the way that this card is placed is next to the Moon card. And you can see the protagonist in the Seven of Swords is almost looking away from the moon and running away from the moon. And to me, this is a message around it's almost futile to run away from your fears. And again, some of these fears being around these cycles of change and what is unknown. This is particularly what the moon represents, the fear of the unknown. And you've got the path that is winding off into the distance. And you've got the dog and the wolf baying up at the moon in fear. And they're barking and shouting up at something that actually has no threat. And this sometimes talks about the illusionary nature of our fears, that even though something might be suddenly present, because we don't understand them, we often have a fear response. Therefore, this week, I would really encourage you to feel the fear and do it anyway. And there may be things that are coming up that make you a little bit nervous about the future, about the certainty of things. And as we know, nothing is actually certain whatsoever. The great thing is with Capricorn is that you're very hardworking, you're very due diligent, you get your head down, you get on with what's needed. But there can also be a tendency towards pessimism and also to be slightly melancholic, to look at the past and look at the past with rose-tinted glasses. If you find yourself this week ruminating, being slightly wistful, looking at the better days, just remind yourself that often the grass is greener and that to look forward is much more useful at times rather than just looking back. Ideally, we'd be looking at the present moment and focusing on the present moment. But the Seven of Swords really represents moving in one way while looking another, putting our efforts in one way and then moving in another direction. So I would encourage you, therefore, to really collate and pull mind, energy and focus in all the same direction, rather than it being this slightly scattergun approach. It's well worth looking at Taurus and Virgo videos to see how these themes of change are coming up. Virgo seems to deal with it much better than perhaps Taurus, or dare I say you, Capricorn. So there are definitely some guidance, some insights that may be gleaned from that. So go and check out that video for sure. For you, the best way to also navigate some of these challenges is represented in the King of Cups. You can see that he sits proud on this solid foundation, even though he is within this tumultuous sea, and he seems totally unfazed and unperturbed by what is going on around him emotionally. And I would really encourage you to imbue yourself, to cultivate the sense of spiritual wisdom and emotional maturity. You may find that this is a week that you have to give yourself a slightly kind of sterner talking to and say, right, come on, let's pull our bootstraps up. Let's put our big boy, big girl, big they pants on and get on with things, rather than being in this place of oscillation. It's really, really key that that you're being truthful, not only to others, but truthful to yourself. There can be a time, particularly when we have things like New Year's resolutions, like, oh, I'm definitely going to do that. I'm definitely going to do that. Although internally you think, that's not even going to last a day. So I would, it's really important that everything is integrated, that actually what you're saying, you say to yourself is the truth, rather than this, well, I would like to believe that is true, but actually, am I going to do it? Do I actually believe that? Probably not. You don't have to answer to anybody else except yourself. But it's so key that you're not allowing your fears to get in the way, or your illusions to get in your way, or this kind of wistful or hopeful thinking of, oh, I'm sure it will be fine. It's because it's quite surprising, because Capricorn tends to be quite realistic, is able to kind of face things head on and straight on, and can often circumnavigate idealism. But for whatever reason, these weeks, well, I think the reason is fear, is anxiety of what's coming up next. Because of those themes, there's a bit of avoidance going on. And this word avoidance I have used for Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. It's a big theme for earth signs this week. So ensure that you're not falling into that trap, and the only person that can hold you accountable around that is you. We have the Justice card here. This appeared also for Leo in a similar way, because Leo is looking as though this week might be a little bit tumultuous too. So it'd be interesting if your rising sun and moon signs overlap in Capricorn and Leo. But Justice card in their spread was talking about fairness and staying true to oneself and understanding cause and effect. There's a real sense of, don't do this, don't allow yourself to fool yourself, or to be moving in seemingly opposing directions and putting your energies elsewhere, but your thoughts are really somewhere else, because it's going to slightly spell disaster. Therefore, come back to center, come back to truth. This is the number one guiding force for you this week, is how am I being truthful to other people, to myself, to what it is I want to do, to what it is I believe in. And when we move back into the moon, yes, feel the fear, that do it anyway. There's that old adage, isn't there, that you should do something every single day that you're scared or makes you feel the fear. And I would really encourage that this week, is be bold, be brave, be a bit brazen, try things that you haven't tried before. Yes, they might not necessarily work out, but it will ensure that the moon card doesn't overtake your week, that these fears, very often when we fear something, speaking to our boss, having that difficult conversation, trying that new thing, when we do it, we think, oh, I don't know why I built that up in my head as such a grand and enormous thing. And of course, we're in the month of Capricorn, in the star sign of Capricorn. So happy birthday if it's your birthday this week. But again, because of these changes, that we've not only had the change of year, but also a change of age. I think I'd be unsurprising that it is bringing up these slight worries and anxieties. But for me, they're not worth kind of feeding into too much. There is a point of, right, I'm just going to go above this, particularly in an emotional and spiritual way. We've got a lovely card entering the spread with the Three of Wands. There's also something here about the King of Cups and the Justice card that speaks to kind of finding something you believe in and sticking with it and getting behind a cause. This is an important question as well to be asking yourself this week. It's like, well, what do I actually believe in? What do I want to get behind? And am I aligned with that? Part of that might be, how am I helping other people? What am I bringing into the world? Am I actually bringing joy, optimism, hope? Or am I doing the Seven of Swords thing and allowing my fears, my pessimism to get the better of me? If you are, then, as I say, dust yourself off, pull up your boots and say, right, okay, that's got to stop right now. And the Three of Wands also is about fixing your gaze on a new point of the horizon. Therefore, there may be changes that are being called for, that there's a bit of resistance around. Again, unsurprising, as we have the Earth sign, and these again are themes that I've been saying, particularly to Virgo, of these changes are afoot. how are we going to embrace them? Are we going to pull away from them? Are we going to avoid them? Or are we going to embrace them? And it may require for you this year, Capricorn, to completely change your perspective, or change your setting, or change your horizon. And those moves might be quite broad, they might be quite big, and therefore bringing up this gentle bit of anxiety. But just remember to stay cool, calm, collected. You've got this. I'll be fine. I'm going to bring about this emotional maturity. This is a nice little thing to keep in the back of your mind of any time that you face a situation this week, and perhaps even longer, that challenges you, that you have an adverse reaction to. Say, okay, how can I deal with this, approach this in the most emotionally and spiritually mature way? And let that be your guiding light this week. Be sure to check out your rising sign and your moon sign for a fuller reading of the energies for you this week. But until next week, I'm sending you lots and lots of love and blessings, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.